I want you to take a second and imagine this, bro. I want you to imagine the woman that you desire to marry and start a family with. What color is her hair? What does her smile look like whenever you try and crack some stupid joke? Does she love Jesus? Will she make a good mother? And most importantly, imagine how you would feel if she was a part of your life. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you actually deserve to have this girl in your life? I remember whenever I first moved to Austin, I almost had this entitled sense of self where I thought,
I just became a Christian. I'm a good looking guy. I work out. God, I deserve to have a wife. Like, you need to bring me a girl now.
And I actually expected God to just bring me a beautiful, feminine, godly girl, even though I wasn't ready for it. I was not prioritizing my relationship with God. I was still addicted to things like lust. Sometimes I'd even go out to the bars with my friends. Worst of all, I had no purpose. And as a result of me having no purpose, I remember just spending most of my days doing some work, but then also just thinking about girls and wondering,
when am I gonna go out and meet a girl? Maybe I'm gonna meet her at church, or maybe I'll meet her at the bar. Oh, so exciting!
and I would spend most of my days just fantasizing about girls and when I was gonna meet the one. And I distinctly remember that a lot of my prayers revolved around,
God, I'm a good Christian guy. Can you just bring me a wife already? I'm tired of waiting around, God. I deserve this girl. Can you just pull some strings and just bring her to me already?
and guess what happened? Nothing. I wouldn't meet girls at the bar. I wouldn't meet them at church. I'd be on the dating apps and I wouldn't match with anybody. Literally nothing would happen. And after months and months and months of this, I realized something. I didn't have a beautiful, feminine, godly girl because God had deemed that I wasn't ready for her. And I really don't want you to make the same mistakes that I made. If I would have known the things that I'm about to walk you through in today's video, I would have saved so much energy, time, money, and most importantly, I'd probably be dating a godly woman by now. Now, for those of you who don't know me already, my name is Braden. I help Christian men to completely transform their lives through faith-based self-improvement. If you want to join our brotherhood of men that are becoming strong, masculine, and godly again, I want you to scroll down and click on that subscribe button, and I promise you that it's going to be a win-win for the both of us. The first reason why you're not ready for a feminine girlfriend is you lack purpose. Most of you make the same mistake that I used to make, where you have no purpose and you spend most of your days distracting yourself with pleasure, like video games, scrolling on social media, or just fantasizing about when you're gonna meet the right girl. And worst of all, a lot of guys make trying to find a girlfriend their purpose, which is completely unbiblical. And if you're doing that right now, you are 100% deceived. And the reason for that is because a masculine man cannot just chase girls all day. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Your purpose is to glorify God with the way that you live. 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 13 says, "So whether you eat or you drink or whatever you do, do all to the glory of God." And the word glorify means to make known. So your purpose is to make God known in everything that you do. Your purpose is not to chase after women. Reason number 2 is your finances are a mess. I want you to honestly ask yourself this question. If you're unemployed, if you have no money coming in, if you have no car, and you still live at your parents' house, how do you expect to be blessed by God with a girlfriend or a future wife? What do you expect? For her to come and pick you up in her car and then drive you to the restaurant and her take care of the bill too, and then she's gonna bring you back home to your house and tuck you in to your mommy and daddy's bed? Be real with yourself. You need to get your crap together, man. If I was you, I would get on Indeed.com right now and I'd start firing out applications left and right. And also I'd text all of my friends and say, I'm looking for a job. I need a job. I'm trying to find a job. And I'd have them tell their parents and have their parents looking around to see if they can find a job for you. And lastly, I'd come up with a list of different occupations or different things that I think I'd be good at or I'd enjoy. And I'd go on Google and I would just find different businesses. And then I would just show up to them with a resume in hand and just start giving out my resume to all these different random employers in hopes of landing a job. And if you're watching this video right now and you're already working, but you're not making as much as you feel like you would want to, or as much as you would need, I would start a side hustle and I would start trying to find different ways to start a business on the side so you can bring in some more cash, because believe me, you're going to need it. Reason number 3 is you're addicted to comfort. There's a quote by a guy named Viktor E. Frankl, but he said, "When a person can't find a deep sense of meaning, they distract themselves with pleasure." And I want you to realize that I've been in your spot. For all of the year of 2020, during that whole lockdown thing, I spent every single day scrolling on my phone. And I probably bust a few nuts right before I got out of bed. At least one or two. And then I'd finally get out of bed and I would just get in my car and go and get some fast food. I'd bring it back home. And the first thing I would do once I got back was I would turn on my PlayStation and I would just start playing Call of Duty Warzone for about 6 straight hours. And then maybe to end the day off right, I would go over to a buddy's house and just start crushing Jack Daniels until I got absolutely pissed drunk. And then we'd go out to the bar and I would go drink even more. And after getting as drunk as I possibly could, I'd stumble my way back home and I'd fall down on my bed and just feel my head just spinning and spinning and spinning. And I would think to myself,
my life sucks. I'm a complete and total failure and a loser.
and then I'd fall asleep. And then I'd wake up in the morning and the cycle would repeat over and over and over and over again. And the reason that that's why my life was that way is because I had no purpose. I had no clear direction. I had no relationship with God. I had no idea what I was going to do with my life. I was going to school for marketing, a really, really good degree that's going to land you a ton of great jobs. And everyone around me was just chasing after girls and they were total degenerates. So I did the exact same thing. And I just remember day after day wondering,
am I ever going to figure this out? Like, is this all that life is actually meant to be?
and I just remember feeling so depressed and so empty because I didn't have a purpose. And so you should definitely follow step 1 and find your purpose. But ultimately, you need to realize that if you're in a spot in your life where you don't enjoy what you're doing and you're addicted to instant gratification and you're depressed all the time or you're anxious or you're borderline suicidal, that's your responsibility, right? And a lot of the time, it is your fault. And if you don't like the position that you're in, you need to take that responsibility and make some changes to get yourself out of that spot. One of the hardest things to realize in your life is that nobody's coming to save you. Other than your mom and your dad, maybe. Nobody cares. Like if you're broke, if you're unemployed, if you have no idea what you're doing, if you're depressed, if you're anxious, nobody really cares because they're all living their own life. The first thing that I would do is figure out what all the bad habits were that were in my life. Things like video games or watching porn or spending hours scrolling on social media. And I would start to one by one just cut those things out of my life. And you can't just cut them out of your life and just sit there and do nothing because inevitably you're going to fall right back into them. You're gonna have to replace those bad habits with much more productive ways for you to exert your energy into, right? For example, if I wanna stop playing video games, I can't just cut out the video games and just stare at the wall for 8 hours. I need to replace that with reading a book or building a business or going for a run and realize it's not gonna be an overnight thing. You're not just gonna magically stop all these bad habits, but over time, the more that you choose the good habits over the bad habits, the better your life is gonna get. And the better you're gonna feel about yourself, where you're going, the direction, and in your relationship with God, you're going to finally think, wow, I'm actually being used by God to do something productive and I'm not just wasting away in my life. This feels great. I never want to go back to the old way that I was living. And reason number 4, your social skills need some work. Even my social skills need some work. I spend most of my days just sitting inside of my bedroom, pecking away on a computer, scripting out videos, filming videos, working within the businesses that I'm working with. Whenever I go outside, I'm either going to the gym or to Chipotle or to Cava. Sometimes I'll go to church, a Bible study, or I'll hang out with friends, but most of the time I'm just working. And so as you can tell, if you spend a lot of your time inside just staring at a computer or talking to a phone, you're gonna become pretty awkward whenever you're in social situations because you're not used to it. That is a problem. Because God created us to be social creatures and to connect with one another and to form relationships and fellowship with other believers. And you can't do that if you just spend all day sitting inside of your room working. And I know that most of the guys watching this video want to be the charismatic, bold, intelligent guy who can just walk into a room and captivate the room with your energy and just walk up to people and introduce yourself and make friends and walk up to the cute girl and introduce yourself to her and make her laugh and make her feel like you're a charismatic, good, well put together young man. And I know that if I need work on my social skills, so do you. And my challenge to you is to stop saying no whenever your friends or people that you just met invite you to social events. And I'm just as guilty of this as you are. And overall, you just need to get uncomfortable and realize that it's gonna be hard. There's gonna be times where you go up and you introduce yourself to somebody new and they don't even give you the time of day. There's gonna be times whenever you have awkward conversations. There's gonna be times whenever you meet a girl and you run out of things to say and you just stare at her and just smile, right? But all those instances of rejection or failure or screwing up, all that stuff is a part of your self-improvement journey. And realize that if you want to have a beautiful, feminine, godly girlfriend, you're going to have to open your mouth and have a conversation with her. Now, reason number 5 is you're not leading in any areas of your life. Most men in my generation and most men in the world are passive. They had a weak father figure who didn't teach them how to be a man, how to lead, how to take responsibility. And as a result, they kind of just sit back and they just watch life happen to them. For the most part, even if they do get in a relationship, because they are so passive and they just kind of take the back seat, the woman has to, become more masculine, start taking responsibility and control of the relationship and making those decisions for him. There's a study, according to the Pew Research Center, that there's an estimated 2.1 million fathers that were stay-at-home dads in 2021, and that is up 8% since 1989. And it says that this increase is mostly attributed to women out-earning their male partners. And so that statistic right there should make you sick, bro. We have so many men out there who are passive, who are not leaders, who would rather stay at home and take care of the kids and take the feminine role in the relationship because they're too scared to be a man. And there may be some feminists out there who are like,
That's how it's supposed to be. I want to be the person that's out there making all the money and working 70 hours a week. He needs to stay at home and take care of my kids. That's how it's supposed to be.
And believe me, that's not how God designed things to be. And if it was, those people in those relationships would actually be happy and they wouldn't hate and resent each other. And the reason that a lot of you who are watching this video right now are still single and you don't have a feminine, godly girl in your life is because you're not the godly, masculine leader that God has created you to be. And sometimes it's not your fault. A lot of you may have been raised by your mom. You had a passive father yourself. Some things are not your fault, but they are your responsibility. And you have to get to a point where you're like,
I'm tired of being directionless and feeling like a woman. I need to take some responsibility and make some changes so that I can become more masculine and actually feel good about myself again.
like just sitting back and playing the victim all the time is not gonna get you into the position that you wanna be in. And the first thing that I would do if I was in your spot is find a strong masculine man of God to pour into me so that I can learn what it means to be masculine and to become godly, right? It's really difficult for you to go from being feminine and passive to strong and masculine if you don't have a strong masculine guy in your life to tell you exactly how to get there. There's so many guys out there in person and online. You just have to pick one and reach out to them and say, hey, I need some help. Can you disciple me? Can you guide me? I have no idea what I'm doing. Please help me. And I promise you that they will. But really just take some time to focus on finding God, finding your purpose, and cultivating your masculine energy. And I promise you that if you take those 3 steps, you're not going to be able to keep the women off of you. If you want to learn more about how to become the man that God has created you to be, I want you to go ahead and click on this video. I hope that you learned something today. I hope that God blesses you, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.